first speaker today is also Vikram, and working on his 7th project. His title of his speech is My Addiction. So we are all among friends, right? We can share some secrets. Today, Vikram is going to come clean with an addiction that he has.
All right. Today I'll come clean and I'll share an addiction that I have and how Intel has helped to enable that addiction or have contributed in that addiction. But before I start and raise the curtains on the topics of my today's talk, let me ask you a simple question. So do you guys know which is the most popular morning beverage that more than half of the world drinks in the morning? Any guesses?
Coffee.
Yeah, exactly right. So that's what the topic of my today's talk is going to be, coffee. So I'm going to talk about how coffee was discovered and how the name coffee came up and how it permeated the world. But before I do that, let's just remind you that all the contents of this presentation has been taken from a documentary that I saw. It's called The Black Bean, The Irresistible Coffee. So, going back to the topic, coffee was first discovered in Ethiopia, according to a popular Ethiopian legend. There was a young goat herder. He used to take his goats to graze all over the mountainside, and during dusk time he has this particular tune which he'll play, and the goats will know that it's time to return home. And one such day during the dusk time, he was playing this tune, but the goats didn't return. So he was like, okay, he kept on playing the tune, but still there was no sign of the goats. Then frustrated and tired, he went and looked for them, and he saw that the goats were sort of bleating and darting with excitement. So he thought, what happened? What have we eaten? So he noticed a tree which he has never noticed before, and the goats were eating the leaves and the cherries of that tree. And he thought, let's try it out. And he tried some beans, some cherries, and that's how coffee was discovered. Since then, coffee has permeated, into the Ethiopian culture. It's the part of their everyday lives, and it's valued by them. Now let's talk about how the name coffee came up. Well, since it was discovered by the Arabs, there are a lot of stories floating around, but I'll just discuss a couple which are more popular. So, according to the Arabs, the name coffee came up from the Arabic name, which means wine, or kawat ul ban, and they say that coffee is a substitute for wine since it refreshes you in that particular way. So that's their interpretation of it. According to a second theory, there's a town in Ethiopia by the name of Cafe, and they think that the name coffee has come up from that word. Some people say it's vice versa, but the truth is we'll never know from where the name coffee came up. So now coffee permeated into different cultures. Turkish borrowed it and called it kawe. Dutch borrowed it and called it coffee, and then English said it's coffee. Alright, now let's look into the way how coffee moved into the European culture. Late into the 16th century, the Arabs decided to invade Vienna, Austria, and they were defeated and they started running away. So while running away, they sort of left some unroasted coffee bags, and the Austrians didn't know what it was. So they thought maybe it's camel fodder, and they decided to burn it. But there was a young lieutenant who has worked with the Arabs before, so he knew what it was. So he said, no, don't burn it. If you want to burn it, I'll take it. Then he took those coffee beans and roasted and opened the first cafe in Europe, and that was called the Blue Bottle Cafe, the Blue Bottle Coffee House. All right. Since then, a lot of coffee houses have come up in Europe, and coffee has slowly permeated into different editions and started, some cultures. For example, coffee started the tradition of tipping. It's widely speculated that the culture of tipping started from such coffee cafes when the traders used to come and they used to put coins in the jar, and they wanted to get immediate attention from the baristas at that time. Now let's look into the story behind coffee entering Americas. In the late 16th century again, there used to be a young French lieutenant by the name of Gabriel de Clay, and he charmed a young royal mistress, French mistress, into giving him a coffee tree. And he used to love coffee, and he wanted to have coffee all across since it was limited to Europe. So he decided that he'll take that coffee tree with him to a sea voyage. And during that voyage, he protected that tree from various sailors, from various pirates. And according to a popular theory, there was once a drought during that voyage, and he actually shared half his water with the plant in order to keep it alive. And luckily, he was able to protect that plant, and he finally, plant that tree in a French colony at that time, which was called Martinique. And that was the beginning. Now it's widely speculated that all the plants, all the coffee beans in Latin America has its root in that single coffee plant. Now this is the history of coffee. Let me just share a little fun fact with you. According to a popular survey, of actually 300 single people, coffee places or coffee cafes are one of the most popular places to have their first date. So this is me and my wife during our early days, having coffee and having Dunkin' Donuts, I believe. Now, I guess I'll close my talk for today. So now you know how coffee came from Ethiopia, hypering all the goats, and now it's hypering all the people across the world. So with that said, I'll close my talk. Thank you.
Thank you, Vikram. Now if you all will take out your evaluation forms, I'll have a minute for evaluation.